This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So any questions, guys? Anyone? Any questions? Okay, fine. Let's see this. Is there an option to get a single column? Okay, single column. Okay, yes. Where object. Okay, get a single column as in get service, and where object single column as in you'll have to select as in let's say for example if you're doing a get service, and if you want to just let's say get a single column out here, probably you're talking about something like this. Let's say this one. So let's say get hyphen service. And if I just run this out, let's give it a minute for my PowerShell to load. And let's see this. So this will go ahead and give you multiple columns out here. So probably you, let's say if I understand your query right, you only want to get this column, right? Let's say for example, name is something like that you want to let's say look at, because this is the column. So if I say type and then say select name, I'll only end up getting the name column out here. Where object is more like a for each, but select will go ahead select and select will go ahead and let's say display all these names and etc. And if I want name and status, I'll get these two columns out here displayed in this particular sheet, and you can probably export this all this data into into an Excel sheet out here. So it's more like this particular command wherein you can go ahead and run this out. You'll get service and select name, comma, status, and all these things out. Does that answer your question, Swati?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, great.
And one more thing, sir. If my subscription was expired,
Hmm.
so shall I have to create another email ID and create a subscription to
Yes. Yes, you would
practice?
need a new email ID. Also, you'll need to use a new mobile number as such, and a new card. So all the details have to be changed.
So again, I have to connect it to Azure PowerShell model, right, sir?
Correct. You'll again
Okay,
have
sir.
to do a connect hyphen AZ account. Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Correct. Yes. Anyone? Any more questions here?
Hello. Hi, sir. Sir, how to change the installation of module path, sir? File folder path.
Initialization of module, but I didn't get you. Can you please come again with your question? Like
How
what
to
exactly is the
the
requirement? Mhm.
how to change the installation of module path, sir?
In the module path, no, you cannot change that. This is something
Yeah.
which is decided by the system, because it has to be installed in that directory for PowerShell to understand. So it's a system application. So even if you change it, it wouldn't really help you out there, because PowerShell reads from that particular directory as such, called program files and all these things.
Hi,
And
sir.
I would, yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead, Kiran.
Sir, as you said yesterday, there is a removing of resource group. So I
Right.
tried that one. So there is a small
Okay.
issue.
Hmm.
I have a same name at resource group. It is okay. So I
Okay.
have a different names in resource group.
Hmm.
So how can I remove those or all?
So if you have a different name, either you have to, let's say, write a logic telling, I mean, I'm just looking for a pattern. I mean, the reason being I give you a simple pattern is because I wanted us to, let's say, go ahead and do a very simple, let's say, demo out here. If it's the same name, yes, you're right. You can do a test star and get all these names and okay, go ahead and remove this out. But if it's different names that you want to remove it, then you'll have to get all those different names in the array, or you need to give a condition telling that the name is like something or something or something, and you'll have to give multiple conditions out here and get all those names as such. Either you can pass it manually into an array and remove all these things out, or you need to, let's say, design your own logic to get all those names, store it somewhere, and then go ahead and remove these things out. So it just depends upon how you're writing the logic out there. Does that answer your question, Giran?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yes, anyone, any more questions here? All right, so I'll just put you all on mute. I'll unmute the mic once we are into the Q&A. So let's go here and let's do this. So again, let's do a very quick recap. Yesterday we were understanding the requirements before you go ahead and install PowerShell, and we were telling that the version, meaning the $ps version table, should be greater than or equal to, let's say, 5.1, and the execution policy should be set unrestricted. And after that, you need to run a command called install-module, or you can directly go ahead and get that particular exe file or msi file, and you can install the modules out there. After that, we were looking into a couple of commands using Azure, and what we were doing is this. We were now telling that how do you, let's say, log into Azure. Either it is login-az account, or I can also do a connect-az account. Anything is the same. Again, if you want to log out, it is either disconnect-az account or log out-az account. Anything kind of works out here. After this, we were looking into, firstly, how do you get the resource groups. So I said it is get-az resource groups. And how do you create a new resource group? And I said it is new-az resource group. And we've also looked into a very, let's say at a very high level, that if you have an array of resource groups, array of RGs to be created. So I can declare something like an array, and I can run a for each loop on this particular array, and then create my resource groups programmatically without having to, let's say, run individual commands multiple times out here. So all we are doing using automation is to make things easier for us as a DevOps engineer or as an administrator. I want to make things easier. I want to make things much more faster in the way they are created, in the way they are, let's say, provisioned and all these things out. So let's try to do once again. Let's clear this out and let's come from the basic again. So firstly, I want to connect to Azure. So I'll say connect-az account. And this is my laptop that you're seeing today. My laptop already has all these modules installed. So I'll just run this command out here, and this will now let me go ahead into my Azure portal out here, and it's saying what is your Azure account. I'll say this is the Azure account that I'm, let's say, operating on, and as and when I do that, it'll just go ahead, I'm already signed in, it'll just go ahead and it'll say, okay, fine, this is the account. But this time around, it's logged me into a different subscription called Azure classes. This is my default subscription that I have. So I use multiple subscriptions. This is a default subscription that I have, that is, let's say, falling under this particular ID. But I don't want to work in the subscription because it's a paid account. I have a different subscription called Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. Now, if you look at this one, this is a subscription that we were doing all our demos in. So as someone asked, how do I change a subscription? How do I set a subscription? I'll just copy this out. And in my case, since I use multiple subscriptions, I will run one more command called set, meaning modify the existing subscription that I'm running on. I'll say az context. The command is called az context or Azure context. I'll say hyphen subscription and pass in the name of the subscription that I have. This is the name of the subscription called Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. Passing it inside the quote so that the spaces are not treated as strings. And I'll run this, and in a minute my subscription kind of gets changed. It's now telling set hyphen az context and hyphen subscription. I've changed my subscription out here. Now it's telling this is a subscription that you're working on. This is the account that you're working with, classes Azure DevOps at gmail.com. All this isn't great. And I'll just do a CLS, clear my screen. And now I will start firstly getting all my resource groups. So the requirement here is to get all my resource groups and only delete the ones, or only delete the one which are starting with test. This is what I want to do. So what I'll do, I'll firstly do a get hyphen az resource group. this is the command that I use, or this is the command, let's say, I go ahead and use to get all my resource groups out here. And now I get all my resource groups as such. So I get a network watcher RG, there is something called demo app service, dev RG, there's something called data tier RG, there's something called test 1, test 2, test 3, and all these things out here. Now, here's a couple of questions. Let's check this out. Now, if I just want the name of a resource group, I don't want the entire object. This is the entire object here called name, location, provisioning status, resource ID, and everything. I don't want the entire object. This is something that I call as the entire object out here. I only want this command to display the name of a resource group. So what do I do here, guys? Anyone? What do you think, or what should you think, or what do you think that I do here?
Pipeline.
You can use pipeline
Yes,
select.
yes, you can use a pipeline, and I'll say a select, and here I can say select resource group name. I can give the property called resource group name out here, and if I run this out, I get all the resource group names as such. Only the resource group name, meaning only the column called resource group name as such, just like I ran for services, I just did for this. Now let's go forward one step. Can I only get the test names out here and exclude the demo, exclude, let's say, dev and all these things out? If I want to do that, what can I do in this particular line? Anyone? What do you think, or what do you think that I can do here?
Piping.
Can
Pipeline. Hmm?
Like and match.
Like or match, exactly. Like I did a get service in a couple of classes earlier. I said get service, I said where hyphen object, and I said something like dollar underscore dot status is like running or stop, something like that, wherein I was going ahead and filtering all the services whose statuses are, let's say, in a stop state or in a running state. I can also do the same thing out here. I can say where hyphen object and I can say dollar underscore is like test star, and try doing this. So let's execute this out, see what I get here. Again, nothing. Let's see this. I say dollar underscore dot resource group name, which is a better way to do it, because dollar underscore contains all, let's say, the object, the entire object, which is the name, location, and etc. And now if you see this, I'm doing a couple of things. Firstly, I am going ahead and I'm saying get hyphen easy resource group, and I'm just selecting the resource group name. I'm only selecting this particular resource group name, and I am adding one more thing called as a where object class, wherein I'm saying please go and get resource groups with the name called test star. If you have another condition that, you know what, please go and get all the resource groups with the name called test star and which are also running in a different location, so I can also do that. I can also put an and clause here saying that I want all the resource groups running in EastUS2 location, so I can also do that. I'll say and I'll say underscore dollar underscore dot location is equal to EastUS2. I can also do this one. And if I run this clause again, I'm just selecting this out. So the reason being I'm not getting this is because I'm just selecting the resource group name. So I should have also done the location as such out here. Again, that's for a different day. So, but if I go ahead and run, meaning if I go ahead and use this particular command, the intention or the intent that I want to tell is that I can also use multiple conditions out here. I can also go ahead and filter it out using multiple conditions. And the only condition that I'm using right now is to just go ahead get all the resource group names with test-01, test-02, test-03, and all these things out here. So this array now contains get-az resource group. All the statement contains just these resource groups that I need, which is test-01, 02, and all these things out. Now I want to store it inside a variable. I want to store all these names inside a variable. Then what can I do here? What can I do, or what should I do here? Anyone? Anything?
Out file. Out file.
Out file will store it inside, let's say, an Excel sheet. Let's say an Excel sheet or a text document and etc. But I want to, let's say, store it inside a variable or a parameter. Firstly, how do we declare a parameter in, let's say, PowerShell?
Like dollar names.
Exactly, dollar names. I can do a dollar names. I'll say dollar names is equal to something. Can I say dollar name is equal to, instead of, let's say, giving the actual name, if I do a dollar name is equal to get-az resource group and etc. And if I want to see now what is there inside dollar names will contain all this array. So what I'm doing is I'm just declaring a value, or I'm just declaring a parameter called dollar names, and I'm giving this parameter a value, or I'm assigning this parameter all these values called test-01, 02, 03, 04, and all these things out here. Now if I want to delete a resource group, the command here is to say remove hyphen. So if you want to remove anything, or if you want to delete anything in Azure, you would say remove hyphen, and I would say az resource group out here. So I'm now removing the resource group, and now it's asking me for the name of the resource group. And what do you think should I give the name here, guys?
Dollar names.
Dollar names. And I'll run this out here. So I'm saying remove hyphen az resource group name, and I'm saying dollar names, and I'll say remove this out. And as and when I do that, I am now getting an error telling that, let's understand this error. Cannot convert
Why?
system dot object. Yes, go ahead, please. You're asking a question. Okay.
Do we need to use double quotes?
We need to use double quotes. Okay, let's do that. I'll use a double quote here too. And let's run this command once again. And it's telling, are you sure you want to remove this resource group? I'll say yes. And it kind of fails. It's saying remove resource group doesn't match the pattern and all these things out here. So even if I use a double quote, it's not working out.
You need to
Let's
give.
come back to our original error. Let's take the double quote out. Let's try to do this once again. Uh, please read this error. Please, let's try to, let's say, look at this particular error. What is it telling? It's telling cannot convert system.object to system.string required by the parameter name. Specified method is not supported. What do you understand by this error, guys? Anyone tell me what do you all really understand by this particular error that you see on my screen?
You have to give the resource name, exact resource name.
We have to give the exact resource name. But if I want to give the exact resource name, I mean the resource group name in our case, then what I have to do is that I probably have to pass test
We have to
-01 for the first
mention
name.
only the single resource group name, and if you have to delete the multiple resource
Mhm.
groups, we have to use arrays.
You have to use an array. Yes, you have to loop over this particular array. The problem here with this command is that if I take this command out, go to a Google search and do this. Now this is what I would like, like you all to do is that let's do a Google search for this particular command. Let's look at the documentation of it. If you look at the documentation of it, it's telling remove hyphen az resource group, and it accepts all these parameters called name. And do you see what is the type of the name that it's expecting out here? It's telling name should be a string. Name has to be a string. And what are we passing here?
Array.
It's an array. Exactly. How do you know that? Let's do that. If I say dollar names dot get type, this is now an array. It's now an object that I'm passing out here. So this is not okay with PowerShell, because PowerShell is now expecting you to pass a string and you are passing an array. Now the point is that, then how do I convert an array into a string? What do we do to convert the array, let's say, into a string out here? Anyone? Any thoughts here? How do you convert now this array into a particular string?
We make a
Parts
loop.
dot string.
Uh, one at a time, please go ahead.
I think it's parts dot string.
Parse dot string, okay. Parse dot string, okay. Anything else? Anyone else?
We can
Yeah,
directly mention name. Sorry, test.01.
Right, but you can do test.01. But the issue with that is that I have four. I can mention test.01 for the first
We
time.
need to write a loop.
Test.02. We need to write a loop, exactly. We did this earlier, right? When we do a write host command, we said you can do a loop. So I
yeah, we
can
can also
introduce,
use for it, right?
exactly, for each. Exactly, I can do a
Like
for each.
dollar name in dollar names.
Yes, I can do a dollar name in dollar name. So I can say dollar value in dollar names.
Yeah.
Anything like this. And I can get this entire statement inside this loop. So I'll close the loop after the statement is done. Now here, I would say remove hyphen easy resource group. The name here is not dollar names, but it is dollar value, because dollar value is now a string which represents each and every name. And I'll also do a write host statement out here just to make sure that we understand what we're doing. I'll say write host. I'll say attempting to remove the resource group or the RG with the name dollar value. So I'm now giving a statement called attempting to remove. I'll just comment this out just to make sure that my loop is actually working fine. So if I just run this out, it's telling attempting to remove again. If you look at this, it's telling resource group name is equal to test-01 and all these things. So it's getting the entire array. It's still not, let's say, converted properly. Let's do this. Let's try to, let's say, put this inside a bracket, because this is now, let's say, if you look at the names out here, a table, it's entirely a table as such, which is test 01, 02, 03, and etc. And this table goes by the name called resource group name. So I can either do one thing. I can say in the for each loop itself, I can say names dot resource group name, or in here I can say value dot resource group name. Anything works. So I need to get that particular table as such. So I can do a names dot resource group name. And let's try to run this out once again. Now I'm getting the right thing. Earlier also I did not get the right thing. I got a resource group name is equal to something. Now I am telling for each value in names dot resource group name, I'm just telling, okay, fine, this is the table that you need to look at. I'm now getting the values. And if you go ahead, execute this just loop out here, it's just printing out all these statements telling attempting to remove RG with the name test-01, RG with the name test-02, 03, and 04. If I now uncomment this statement, and if I now run this out, I'm not only printing this out, and after this it's now telling, are you sure you want to remove this? And this prompt that you see on my screen will come for each and every resource group, because this is a destructive procedure. So this PowerShell will go ahead and display this particular prompt for each and every resource group. And if you don't want this prompt at all, what you can do is you can have an additional parameter here called force, telling PowerShell not to give you that prompt. telling please don't give me that prompt. I'm pretty sure that I want to delete this out. And let's run this out once again. So now it's telling attempting to remove the RG with the name test-01. And a removal always takes some time. It will take around 1 or 2 minutes out here to go ahead and remove all these resource groups out there. So it's going now into the first resource group. You'll try to remove it. After it removes the first resource group, it'll go into the second one, it'll go into the third one, go into the fourth one, and so on and so forth. Now this loop is running for 4 different things. So if you look at this one on the yesterday's requirement, the first thing is how do you filter it? I'm telling the names is equal to get something, select the names. And very importantly, I'm giving a condition telling where object $.resource group name is like test star. I'm giving a like parameter, I'm giving a like condition out here. And after that, I'm now seeing a for each loop. I'm now giving a for each loop out here where I'm telling the dollar value dot, in for each and every dollar value in the names dot resource group name. I'm running a loop which will run a command internally which is trying to remove that particular resource group name using a force parameter, using something called as a force parameter out here. So this is what I am doing on an end-to-end basis. So firstly connecting, secondly setting my subscription, thirdly getting all my resource groups, and finally going in and running a for each loop on top of it, so that I can go ahead and remove all these things out there. Yes, any questions still here? Now if you see, it's telling attempting to remove the RG with the name test01. It's telling true, meaning the command is executed. So if I go here and look at the resource groups, I don't see the test01. That's removed out. Now PowerShell is now going and performing the same operation in test02, test03, and so on and so forth.